If people are dieting now more than ever before, then why are nearly 1 in 3 American adults overweight? Dr. Gundry, who's helped thousands lose weight and feel younger and healthier than ever, says most people are not getting enough fat-burning MCTs from their food. MCTs are a special kind of compound that, instead of turning into fat when you consume it, turns into ketones, which is a chemical that breaks down the excess fat in your body. So, by getting more MCTs in your diet, you essentially flip a switch that puts your body in caloric bypass mode, which can flush out excess fat and calories. And he's created an easy way for you to activate caloric bypass right at home. It's called MCT Wellness. This powerful blend of fat-flushing MCT powders and antioxidant-rich polyphenols is designed to help you unlock your body's fat-burning, energy-producing potential. What's even better is that it's a delicious drink. I love how incredible it tastes. All you do is add a scoop to water, enjoy, and watch as you start feeling slimmer and more energized. So, if you want to experience a quick, easy, and effective way to melt pounds fast, go to GundryMD.com/energy and order right now to get up to 53% off your regular price order with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's GUNDRYMD.com/energy.
You're listening to the Think Unbroken podcast, and I'm your host, Michael Unbroken. I'm an author, speaker, coach, and advocate for adult survivors of childhood trauma and abuse. In this podcast, you will learn how to transform your trauma into triumph, turn breakdowns into breakthroughs, and go from victim to being the hero of your own story. You can learn more at thinkunbrokenpodcast.com, and of course, check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify at Think Unbroken Podcast.
Where are we going live at? Everywhere. We're going everywhere this morning. So we're talking about dealing with judgment in everyday life, dealing with judgment in career, dealing with judgment with family, dealing with judgment with friends, dealing with judgment with yourself. One of the things that I often think about in this healing journey is the fact that judgment is often displaced everywhere, right? We face judgment in everything that we do, from the way that we talk to ourselves, most importantly, to the way that we interact and that we show ourselves into the world and the way that that is reflected back to us. One of the most difficult parts about dealing with judgment is that we often look at the judgments that people cast upon us and we take those for face value. And I'll tell you this, I don't know that necessarily people are always wrong in our judgments and in their judgments of us, because sometimes there's some truth, but very often, a lot of times they're just taking what they have inward and putting it outward. And I think about how life is often reciprocated by the way that we think about ourselves in the world. If you think to yourself, I'm successful, I'm capable, I'm strong, then in reality, that'll be true. But if you don't, then in reality, that also will be true. And one of the things about judgment, and I'll tell you this just to keep it real with you, people are judging you anyway. Like, people right now today, they're judging you. They're judging you. They're looking at the way you dress, how you walk, how you talk, the words that come out of your mouth, the way you look. They're judging you because, you're tattooed head to toe. They're judging you because of the accent that you have. They're judging you because of your skin tone. They're judging you because of everything. And here's the thing that people don't want to talk about in this that I think is very important, is that we are often, as the judgees, judging back. If you think about it, how often are you judging people on a daily basis? How often, when you cross paths with someone, you judge what they're wearing or how they're dressed or the car that they get out of or the groceries on the lane in front of you before you check out? I can't believe that they would buy that, right? How many times have you had that moment? I can't believe that they would buy that. Oh, Jesus, I would never do that. And then suddenly now you're also playing that role of judger in this process. And I think that in part it's human nature. I don't know how we particularly get away from it. I don't know that that is in the cards for us as this species that is predicated on judgment, not necessarily to be callous or crude or unkind, but at some deep down molecular human level, judgment is a form of survival for us. We have to be able to look at and assess situations and especially people for safety. Are we safe right now? Are we safe right now? If we look at this person coming across the street and they're carrying a machete, we're probably not safe. We need to be able to judge and evaluate that situation. We need to look at that and say, okay, actually, in this moment, I'm not actually that safe. I don't feel like I'm protected. Judgment can be this beautiful thing that can also protect you, but also destroy everything around you. And so we think about that. What I often come to when I'm dealing with whether I'm being judgmental or someone is judging me is to sit with it and pause and just go, acknowledge. Yeah, okay, that happened. I was judging or I was judged. Fine, great. But here's where it gets interesting. What does that have to do with what I'm trying to accomplish in my life? What does that have to do with how I talk to myself? What does that have to do with how I show up in the world? And if we leverage other people's judgments to keep us down, then we certainly will stay there. And I'm not saying that there's not a little bit of truth in judgment, because sometimes there are. I wish when I go back and I look at my 20s, I wish that I would have had one of my friends be like, dude, you are so overweight, you're going to die by the time you're 30 years old, instead of my body like rejecting myself, rejecting me, I should say, and like getting very sick and forcing me into a situation where I was required to lose weight, right? I could have used that judgment in that moment, as opposed to me outwardly judging everyone and everything and saying, no, you guys just don't get it. This is who I am. And part of that is also we have to be able to sit within the scope and the framework of acknowledging, like, we might need to create some change in our life. And sometimes that comes from a third party. And I know that can be difficult to hear because we come from this world and society that says we should all be kind to each other. We should never judge each other. We should always let each other exist. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think that works, because then you end up in this situation where you're spending your life hiding from the reality of the truth of the circumstances that you've created. Think about what's happening in all the social movements in the world right now. Without someone casting judgment and saying this isn't right, things probably wouldn't change. If someone didn't look at the scenario in the world and go, this isn't how it should be, things probably wouldn't change. And we're told, no, be kind. You can be kind and still speak the truth. And I think often in judgment, there is truth. But now, what do you do? This is where it gets interesting, right? Because I'm going to take you to both sides. There's a juxtaposition of this. What do you do when that judgment is not kind, when that judgment is hurtful, when that judgment is berating you, when that judgment is your mom, your dad, your partner, your cousin, your friend, your coworker, yourself?
Hey, Unbroken Nation, we'll be right back to the show, but I wanted to let you know that you can grab a copy of my first book, Think Unbroken, Understanding and Overcoming Childhood Trauma, for free. If you go to book.thinkunbroken.com, you can download the PDF ebook version of the book and get everything that I know about the baseline of healing trauma for free, downloaded to your email right now. Just go to book.thinkunbroken.com to download your copy of Think Unbroken, Understanding.
Get 15% off a set of Brake Mess Select, Select Pro, or Import Direct brake pads and 2 rotors now at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Overcoming Childhood Trauma for a PDF for your phone. Again, that is book.thinkunbroken.com.
What do you do? I think first and foremost, you have to ask yourself, is in the environment that you're in the moment, conducive and supportive of what it is that you want, need, and desire as a human being in alignment with your values, your wants, your needs, your interests, and your boundaries. That's the first thing. Like, I use, some of you guys don't have values, and you really need to sit down and go through that to figure out who you are and what your values are about. And everything in life filters through your values. And then what happens is you look at it and you assess, is the way that people are engaging with me in alignment with my core value? And if not, then the question that you have to ask yourself is, well, why am I in this scenario? Why am I around people who are not supportive of my core values? And depending on that answer, one of the two things is going to happen. One, you actually find out that you are the one who is not in alignment with your values, thus allowing judgmental people into your life. Or two, what's happened is you are not holding true to your boundaries. And because of that, these people are in your life. And there's a case for 3, and that could possibly be that you just don't recognize it, right? Or the thing that often happens, and people come to me, especially when we're doing coaching, and they're saying, I don't understand why people are always walking all over me. Well, I do. I can tell you right now, it's because you haven't put clear, concise boundaries and borders in your life and said what is and is not acceptable. So we look at people who judge us and we go, well, they're just me, or they're not fair, or they're judgmental, but you've never put anything in place to keep them from doing so. This is what gets really interesting about getting clear about who you are as a human being and as a person, and ultimately being the leader of your own life, the hero of your own story, is that it all starts with you. And so when you're in this, what you have to understand is a lot of time, these judgments being cast on you are not judgments about you, but instead they're about the person casting the judgment. Because I think about this every day. Our lives are often a reflection of who it is that we are, right? Our lives can be a reflection of who it is that we are. And at times, those judgments can help us reflect on who it is that we are in a way that can actually, I believe, be practical. I think about this all the time. Like, if I am being an asshole, I want somebody in my life to tell me, hey, Michael, you're being a real asshole right now, man. You need to course correct. You need to get back to baseline. You need to figure out what the hell's going on with your life. You need to put yourself in a position to be kind again, right? And I want that. I want that. I want that. I want that not only from my friends, I want that from my family. I want that from my community. I want that from my team. I want that from my employees. I want that from the people I coach. I want people to help me be better. Now, there's a big difference. This is where I think the real juxtaposition, all of this comes into play. There's a big difference between judgments that are constructive and people being fucking assholes. There's 2 different things here. And now ultimately you have to determine what that looks like in the context of your life. But I will tell you this, those who are casting judgment for the sake of doing it with no intrinsic or inherent value involved, who only simply at baseline want to hurt you, are people that do not deserve a seat at your table. And what I mean by that is if there are people in your life who are adamantly, vehemently, and purposely trying to tear you down by saying, you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're not capable enough, who do you think you are, you're never going to amount to anything, those people, they need to be taken out of your life. Those people do not deserve a place at your table. And then, of course, I know somebody's going to listen to this and they're going to email me and they're going to go, well, what about my mom? What about my dad? What about my husband? Guys, you have to understand something about life. Everything that you want in life happens within the frame of action, and change only happens when you make change happen. And sometimes the thing that you have to do is the hardest thing ever, and that's create change. And for some of you, that means removing that judgmental person from your life. For some of you, that means putting a separation into the relationship. For some of you, that means changing the phone number, right? Changing the phone number, not letting these people be in contact with you. And I understand how difficult it is because I've had to do it. And many people have to do it. But ultimately, you have to ask yourself, what are you willing to do to have the life that you want to have? People are going to judge you regardless. It doesn't matter. Like at the end of the day, I think about it all the time. People are going to judge you. It's the hard truth of being a human being. And there's arguments you could say that maybe we need to toughen up a little bit. Fine, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the most important thing. And that is, even if you are being judged, you do not stop moving forward and creating the life that you want to have. Because ultimately, the people that judge you, they don't live for you. They don't breathe for you. They don't love for you. They don't create your life. They don't take care of your bills. They don't take care of your body. They don't take care of your mental health. And yes, they're going to judge you because guess what? They already are. And so you have a decision to make. You can let that judgment be the thing, be the catalyst in the way of the life that you want to have. Or you can say, you know what? Let you judge. I will let you judge. Go and enjoy your judgment and watch the life that I live. So my friends, that's all I got for you today. I hope that you have an amazing day. Please, of course, if you ever need help, reach out to me. I'm on Instagram at Michael Unbroken. We start coaching sessions monthly at healtraumacoach.com, and you can find me everywhere. on the Michael Unbroken podcast. So have an amazing day, my friends. And until next time, be
Thank you so much for listening to Think Unbroken. Please share this episode with someone who could use it and help us move forward in our mission of ending generational trauma in our lifetime. And if you would, please take 5 seconds to pop on iTunes or Spotify, hit that 5-star, leave a review, and you can also reach out to us on social at Michael Unbroken or at Think Unbroken. And of course, you can check out our YouTube channel at Think Unbroken. Thank you for being a part of Unbroken Nation, my friends, and until next time, be unbroken. We'll be right back to today's show, but before we do, I want to let you know that you can get a free copy of my first book, Think Unbroken, Understanding and Overcoming Childhood Trauma, when you leave a review for the podcast on Apple Podcast, either on desktop or on your phone. All you have to do is go to Apple Podcasts, look up Think Unbroken, click follow in the top right, and then go and leave a review at the bottom. And when you leave that review, screenshot it and send it over to book.thinkunbroken.com, where you can upload your contact and mailing information, and we will send you a free copy of this award-winning best-selling book, absolutely free, including shipping. Just go to book.thinkunbroken.com to upload your screenshot review from Apple Podcasts for the Think Unbroken podcast. And until next time, my friend, be unbroken. I'll see ya.